Hi there, this is Jennifer. Welcome to Crafting in Carrollville. I'm so glad you've joined us. If you're new, I'm glad you found us. If you're returning, thanks so much. These are just some of the materials we're going to be working with in today's video. I have some decoupage paper, some hardboard for my substrate, a few slats to make some frames, and a whole bunch of molds. And we'll talk about all these materials as we get into our project. The first thing I'm going to do is decoupage this big rooster onto my hardboard. This is a piece of 2-foot by 4-foot hardboard that I picked up at Home Depot. I knew I wanted to make 6 of these because that's how many roosters I had. So I bought 2 hardboards and I cut them into 3 sections. So my pictures are going to end up being 16 inches by 20 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do, like I said, is decoupage my picture onto my hardboard. I spray painted these boards before I cut them, and I only spray painted them so that I would be decoupaging onto white, because that helps keep our colors nice and bright. It doesn't dull the colors or wash them out. So I just took those in my backyard and spray painted them. I'm going to make sure that this will lie flat before I get started. I don't want to start off with wrinkles. You could see earlier that I had poured some water into my Mod Podge. Mod Podge starts out a little too thick for me, so I add some water. Thinning it down really helps to spread it more evenly, and it also keeps you from getting big globs of Mod Podge under your project. The whole purpose is to just adhere it to a surface. It's not to soak it. It shouldn't feel wet and soggy on top. In a minute here, I do go grab some saran wrap so that I can sort of wrap that around my finger, and then I use that to press out the bubbles and the wrinkles as I go. And like I said, the easiest way to not get bubbles and wrinkles is to use just a very light, thin coat of Mod Podge or whatever decoupage medium you're using. This rooster I picked up from Zazzle. I love to order my decoupage paper from there, whether it's paper that I designed with my own artwork or whatever. I love to use products from Zazzle. I order them quite often. And when you order them, if you order, a piece of decoupage paper, you do have to order 3 pieces of whatever you're ordering. And I'm going to tell you a workaround for that might help you. Because if you don't want to make 6 of something like I am, there's a way to change what you're actually ordering. So we'll talk about that as we go. I do also put a light thin coat of Mod Podge over the top of these, even though, to be honest, I'm not sure why it's necessary. I feel like it's probably not necessary in this case, and you could probably just seal it with some other medium and it would be just fine. These are printed on archival paper. They're very well printed. I always order the 18-pound size unless I know that I am going to be decoupaging onto a more textured surface like a washboard or something like that. Now you can see I wanted to show you that these roosters actually came on one sheet, and I had to edit it to make it look that way. So in Zazzle, if I had ordered it the way it was, it would have just been one giant rooster on a sheet, but I changed it so there were 2 roosters on each sheet, so that gave me twice as many images for my money. I'm just using wood glue to glue down my slats that I showed you. This is just going to be a very simple frame. I'm just butting up my corners. I'm not mitering anything. Those corners are going to be covered by molds that I've already poured. So I'm using my wood glue to affix them to the surface of my board there. And then of course I'm going to come in and reinforce the hold with brad nails. Got way too much glue on that one, so I'm just going to wipe that off and stick it on the next board that I'll be working with. I hope you understood what I was saying about editing your decoupage paper in Zazzle so that you can add images or multiply the images across the paper. If you have any questions about that, you can definitely reach out and ask me. But it's a trick I learned along the way that helps me get more bang for my buck when I order paper from them. Wood glue is obviously the very best option for this project. Wood glue and brad nails. So here I come in with my brad nailer, just adding 3 nails equally spaced apart on the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to come in with my side slats. This is one of those projects where I'm going to make multiples of these. I end up making 6 of these, and the quickest way to make 6 of something is to do all your cutting, all your processes one at a time, you know, for everything. So I cut all my slat boards, I decoupaged all my faces, I poured all my molds all at one time. So everything was ready to go when I was ready to go. Now I'm adding these molds. Each corner gets a mold, and then there will also be some molds on the long parts of the frame. Now, let's talk about these molds, and in a minute here I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So you'll see that these molds I originally bought at Home Depot or Lowe's. Amazon also sells them, but they're called ornamental moldings. They're made of wood. But I made my own molds using the ones that I bought at Lowe's or Home Depot as a original to cast a mold. So, and you've seen me do that before, and I'm going to attach a video in the end screen that will show you how to make your own molds. So you just need a mold making kit. The best one I found is by Let's Resin, and that's what I use to make these molds. Much cheaper option. I looked everywhere on the package that I had bought for a copyright information. There was nothing on there that indicated they were copyrighted, so I went ahead and made a few of these. And when things are copyrighted, it could be that the process they use is patented, but the actual image, the actual artwork is not, because a lot of these things are public domain that people use, you know, for their own purposes. So I don't really know, but I didn't feel like I was being unethical by copying them and making a mold of what I already had. So that's what I did. So then of course I poured them with resin. I like to use the Amazing Casting Resin, obviously because it sets up super quick, and I made a lot of these, so that took a couple hours just in itself. And I didn't show you the mold that I made that I was working with. It was pretty rough. But if you want to see, again, how I make molds, I do have a video where I cover that. And I will put that in the end screen. I'm using hot glue, industrial strength hot glue. See, that's the original right there. That's the original made of wood, and that's the copy made of resin. They are exactly alike. I'm using industrial strength hot glue in my Ryobi glue gun there and believe me, it is industrial strength. I burned myself, I dripped it on my leg again. Oh gosh, I did all sorts of things in this project. I got super dirty. I worked with resin, paint, glue, all the stuff. But the hot glue I feel works the best to get these stuck down, because the wood glue just isn't going to give me a fast enough hold to let me continue working. So I just use the hot glue, and they're stuck on there. They're not going anywhere. I had originally cast all these, I don't know what they are, the flowers with the leaves. What are those called? I don't know what they're called, but they're kind of like a garland type thing. But then I decided that I only needed the little flower for the top and the bottom. So I'm just using the little flower. I really love these molds. I feel like I love to have things that are different and unique and not everybody has them. So of course now, you know, y'all know my secret, so go buy you some ornamental moldings from Lowe's or Home Depot or Amazon and make your own molds. It's pretty cool. It's a great option, and to be honest, the mold making kit is not very expensive. I think I paid about $12 for it. Now I'm painting my frame and my molds the same color, and this is an off-white color from the Home Depot. I bought it as an oops paint once, and I love it so much that now I have it made on purpose. Every once in a while when I run out. Getting blurry there. Sorry about that. Got my frame all painted. Now I'm just going to add some dark wax to the molds. I'm not going to do anything more fancy than that. I'm going to wax my molds, then wipe it back with a baby wipe so that it stays there in the cracks, and the top of the mold will stay the same color. This is the Dixie Belle brown wax, Best Dang Wax by Dixie Belle. Definitely my preferred wax. I have it in all the colors. I have black, gray, brown, and white. I don't have the clear one. I don't have, well, no, I use the Waverly clear right now because that's what I have. But if you use a wet wipe, you can get most of the color off, and all the wax will just stay right there in the details. That's why we use it, because it just makes all those details pop. I really love that. So I made 6 of these because they're going to our show next month. Sorry, something super exciting isn't happening in this video. We have a show coming up next month and one in the following month. So I'm getting all my stuff ready. Like everything I've made for YouTube for the last few months is going to our next few shows. So I've got a lot of inventory, a lot of things, but artwork is my real thing. So I have to focus on the artwork and get some of that created. And while I'm making these, I decided I was just going to make all 6 because that's how many I had materials for. And sometimes that's just the best way to do it. Then I don't have to find my materials, remember that I was going to make those again and remake them. I'm just hitting the high points again with that paint. It's just going to bring back some of the brightness on those molds, and that's it. Like, I'm done. I did 6 of these, so you might see this project in varying stages. Here I am working on another one. I just worked on one right after the other until I had all 6 done. And the last step in the whole process was to add a sawtooth hanger to each of them. People like to have something to hang their artwork up with, so that's super important. Don't forget to add hardware if you need to. Having a little trouble getting my hardware in there. I'll tell you why, because it was super late and I was trying not to make a ton of noise, but that hardwood is hard, so I had to pound pretty hard to get it in there, and my husband was sleeping, so and I did it 5 more times, so I was trying not to be obnoxious and keep him up, but apparently I didn't wake him because he didn't come out and say anything to me, so bless his heart. If it's not one thing, it's another. If it's not me waking him up, it's the dogs, They like to go midnight rabbit hunting if they can. So anyway, so I made 6 of those, and here they are all in one big stack. That one's a little different because I wanted to keep those wooden ornamental moldings sort of the same. So I made one a little opposite. But the other 5 are just the same. Now I am unboxing some new prints that I ordered from Miller's in Kansas or Minnesota, one of those western states. Anyway, this is my latest art piece, and he is making his big debut next month at our show, so I have to have many of him all framed and ready to go. This is Waffles. You've met him before if you've been watching. I'm just going to stick him in 2 frames, and my customers will be able to decide if they like him in a white frame or a brown frame. These frames are half off at Hobby Lobby right now, so I just bought some ready-made frames. I don't often do this. A lot of times I make my frames. I buy frames at the thrift store, but for a new piece, I usually do like to put some things in some new frames. They're going to sell right away, so I'm not going to have them long. That's the way it usually goes with my new art pieces. They sort of go quick. So you saw him in the white frame. Now you're going to see him in the brown frame. Tell me how you like him the best. I want to hear that in the comments. Tell me if you like him in the white frame or the brown frame. If you liked what you saw here, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all the things. I really appreciate that. And don't forget to look for the next video in the end cards. We'll see you next time. Y'all have a great week. Bye-bye.